Hi, welcome back to LEARNINO. So, നമ്മൾ സാറ്റലൈറ്റ് കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ടോപ്പിക്കിൽ നിന്നുള്ള 100 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആണ് ഇന്നത്തെ ഈ ഒരു വീഡിയോയിൽ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഒന്ന് ഫാസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് നോക്കാം. 100 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് അതിന്റെ ആൻസേഴ്സ് വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഒരുപാട് എക്സ്പ്ലനേഷനിലേക്ക് നിൽക്കുന്നില്ല. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒരു ഫൈനൽ റിവിഷൻ എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ ഈ ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആവും. സോ ലെറ്റ്സ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട്. So first question, the period of a geostationary satellite is options 12 hours, 18 hours, 24 hours and 48 hours. So the geostationary satellite in the period എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് it must be same rotation period as Earth. അല്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ so 24 hours. Option C is the right answer. Option C. Next one, the altitude of a geostationary satellite above the Earth's surface is approximately 1000 kilometer, 10,000 kilometer, 22,300 miles, and option D 42,000 kilometer. So, ഒരു geostationary satellite in the altitude above Earth's surface എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് approximately 35,786 kilometer ആണ്. Milesൽ പറയുമ്പോൾ 22,300 miles ആണ് വരുന്നത്. So, correct answer is option C. Next one, the angular velocity of a geostationary satellite is option A greater than Earth's, option B less than Earth's, option C equal to Earth, and option D 0. So the angular velocity of a geostationary satellite is equal to Earth's angular velocity. കാരണം എന്താ വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമുക്കൊരു സാറ്റലൈറ്റ് ടു റിമെയിൻ ഫിക്സഡ് റിലേറ്റീവ് ടു എർത്ത് അതിന്റെ ആംഗുലർ വെലോസിറ്റി എന്തായിരിക്കണം? എർത്തിന്റെ റൊട്ടേഷണൽ ആംഗുലർ വെലോസിറ്റിയോട് ഈക്വൽ ആയിരിക്കണം. സോ ഓപ്ഷൻ സി ഈസ് ദ റൈറ്റ് ആൻസർ. Next one, the orbit in which the satellite's position appear fixed over one longitude is called option A polar orbit, option B sun synchronous orbit, option C geostationary orbit, and option D Molniya orbit. So the orbit in which the satellite position appear fixed over one longitude നമ്മൾ geostationary orbit എന്നാണ് പറയുക. Option C is the right answer. Next, the path loss for a satellite link increases with decreasing frequency, decreasing distance and frequency, atmospheric temperature. So the path loss for a satellite link increases with increasing distance and frequency. Option C is the right answer. Next, the uplink frequency in C-band communication is options 4 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz, 12 gigahertz and 14 gigahertz. So C-band frequency le uplink 5.925 to 6.425 gigahertz ആണ് വരിക. Downlink 3.7 to 4.2 gigahertz ആണ് വരിക. So നമുക്ക് ഈ ഒരു റേഞ്ചിൽ വരുന്നത് ഓപ്ഷൻ ബി ആണ്. uplink frequency in C-band option B 6 gigahertz. Next, the downlink frequency in C-band communication 4 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz, 8 gigahertz and 12 gigahertz. So downlink frequency എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് 4 gigahertz ആണ് വരുന്നത് for C-band communication. So option A is the right answer. Next, the transponder in a communication satellite performs power generation, signal reception, frequency translation and retransmission, attitude control and launch control. So a transponder receives uplink, then അത് ആംപ്ലിഫൈ ചെയ്യുന്നു, convert it into a different downlink frequency and retransmit it. ഇത്രയും കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യും. So option B is the right answer, signal reception, frequency translation and retransmission. Next, the purpose of frequency translation in a satellite transponder is reduce bandwidth, avoid interference between uplink and downlink, improve modulation, increase power efficiency. So frequency translation, and to avoid interference between uplink and downlink, option B is the right answer. Next, which band is used in KU band satellite communication? 1 to 2 gigahertz, 4 to 6 gigahertz, 10.7 to 14.5 gigahertz and 20 to 30 gigahertz. അപ്പോൾ ഏത് ബാൻഡ് ആണ് KU ബാൻഡ് സാറ്റലൈറ്റ് കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ നമുക്ക് വരുന്നത്? 10.7 to 14.5 കൊടുക്കാം. ഓപ്ഷൻ C is the right answer. Next, which type of orbit is used for polar coverage? Geostationary, LEO, low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, MEO, and elliptical orbit. Right answer, low Earth orbit or LEO. Option B is the right answer. Next, the maximum elevation angle of a geostationary satellite for a user at the equator. എത്ര ഡിഗ്രി ആണെന്നാണ്? 0 degree, 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree. 90 degree ആണ് വരുന്നത്. 90 degree elevation. Option D is the right answer. Next, the multiple axis technique used in early satellite systems. TDMA, FDMA, CDMA, OFDMA. FDMA ആണ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. Option B is the right answer. Next, the footprint of a satellite. ഒരു സാറ്റലൈറ്റിന്റെ ഫുട് പ്രിന്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഷേപ്പ് ഓഫ് ദ സാറ്റലൈറ്റ്. ഓപ്ഷൻ ബി ഏരിയ ഓൺ എർത്ത്, covered by the satellite antenna, the orbit path, and frequency coverage area. Right answer is option B, area on Earth covered by the satellite antenna. Option B is the right answer. Next, what is the typical lifespan of geostationary satellite? 2 years, option B 5 years, then 10 to 15 years, option D 50 years. So typical lifespan of geostationary satellite എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ 10 to 15 years ആണ്. Option C is the right answer. Next, the antenna used on satellite for communication is usually dipole, horn or parabolic dish, loop, and Yagi Uda. Antenna used on satellite for communication usually നമുക്ക് വരുന്നത് horn അല്ലെങ്കിൽ parabolic dish ആണ്. Option B is the right answer. Next, the Earth station antenna size depends mainly on frequency and required gain, orbit altitude, power of satellite, weather condition. So the Earth station antenna size depends mainly on frequency and the required gain. Option A is the right answer. Next, which band suffers most from rain attenuation? C band, KU band, KA band, L band. High frequencies, അതായത് above 20 GHz വരുന്ന KA band പോലെയുള്ളതാണ് more affected by rainfall. So correct answer option C. Option C is the right answer. Next, the link margin in satellite communication accounts for extra transmit power, antenna misalignment, rain fade, etc. Only noise temperature, Doppler shift. So the link margin in satellite communication, it accounts for antenna misalignment, rain fade, etc. Option B is the right answer. Okay, next one, the sun transit outage occurs when satellite power decreases, satellite is eclipsed by Earth, satellite and sun align with Earth station, and solar flare disrupt transmission. So, sun transit outage occurs when satellite and sun align with Earth station. Option C is the right answer. Option C is the right answer. Next question, the ratio of received power to noise power is called C by N ratio, G by T ratio, SNR, EIRP. So the ratio of received power to noise power എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് actually SNR ആണ്. That is signal power divided by noise power. Received signal power divided by noise power ആണ് SNR എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. C by N എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് similar ആയിട്ടുള്ള റേഷ്യോ തന്നെയാണ്, പക്ഷെ അത് കാരിയർ പവറിനെയാണ് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. പിന്നെ G by T എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ആന്റിന ഗെയിൻ ടു നോയ്സ് ടെമ്പറേച്ചർ ആണ്. EIRP എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ട്രാൻസ്മിറ്റഡ് പവർ ആണ്. അത് ഒരു റേഷ്യോ ആയിട്ട് വരുന്നതല്ല. So correct answer is option C, that is SNR. SNR is the right answer. Next one, which of the following statement correctly describe Kepler's first law? Statement വായിക്കാം. The square of the orbital period of a planet is proportional to the cube of semi-major axis of its orbit. Second one, a planet sweeps out equal areas in equal interval of time as it orbits the sun. Option C, the orbit of every planet is an ellipse with the sun at one of the foci. And option D, the gravitational force between two bodies is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So, which of the following statement currently describes Kepler's first law? Kepler's first law ഉണ്ട്, second law ഉണ്ട്, third law ഉണ്ട്. First law എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ law of ellipse ആണ്, second law law of area ആണ്, third law of periods ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ first law എന്താ പറയുന്നത്? State that the orbit of a planet around the sun is an ellipse with the sun located at one of the two foci എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അതിലെ കറക്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഡിസ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് ഏതാണ്? ഓപ്ഷൻ സി ആണ് വരുന്നത്. The orbit of every planet is an ellipse with the sun at one of the foci. So option C is the right answer. Okay. Next one, which of the following is true about the speed of a planet in its orbit according to Kepler's second law? അപ്പോൾ Kepler's second law വെച്ചിട്ട് കെപ്ലറിന്റെ എല്ലാ ലോസും ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആണ്. Kepler's second law വെച്ചിട്ട് which of the following is true about the speed of planet? Planet move fastest when it is farthest from the sun. A planet moves fastest when it is closest to the sun. A planet moves at constant speed throughout its orbit. A planet moves fastest at the midpoint of its orbit. For Kepler's second law പറയുന്നത്, it states that a planet sweeps out equal area in equal time. This implies that when the planet is closer to the sun, സണ്ണോട് അടുത്ത് വരുമ്പോൾ it moves farther, and when it is farther, it moves slower എന്നുള്ളത് തന്നെയാണ്. So ഏത് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് ആണ് കറക്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് അത് പറയുന്നത്? Planet moves fastest when it is closest to the sun. So option B is the right answer. Next one, the shape of a planet orbit is best described as circle, ellipse, parabola, and hyperbola. നമ്മൾ കെപ്ലറിന്റെ ഫസ്റ്റ് ലോയിൽ തന്നെ പറയുന്നുണ്ട് അല്ലെ, എവറി പ്ലാനറ്റ് മൂവ്സ് ഇൻ എൻ എലിപ്റ്റിക്കൽ ഓർബിറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നുണ്ട് വിത്ത് സൺ അറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഫോക്കസ്. അപ്പോ ഏതാണ് ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു എലിപ്റ്റിക്കൽ ഷേപ്പാണ് നമ്മൾ ഓർബിറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് പറയുന്നത്. സോ ഓപ്ഷൻ ബി ഈസ് ദ റൈറ്റ് ആൻസർ. Next one, the sun is located at which point in planet's elliptical orbit? Center, one of the foci, perigee and apion. So first law അത് correct ആയിട്ട് describe ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. Sun is at the one focus of ellipse. The center is not the focus. So one of the foci ആണ്. So option B is the right answer. Next one, Kepler's second law implies which of the following? Orbital speed is constant. Orbital speed depends on the distance from the sun. Orbital period is independent of orbit size. All planets move in circular orbits. എന്താ പറയുന്നത്? നമുക്ക് കെപ്ലർ സെക്കൻഡ് ലോ ഓർബിറ്റൽ സ്പീഡ് ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് ഫ്രം ദ സണ്ണിനെ ഡിപ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. കാരണം അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഫാസ്റ്റസ്റ്റ് ആവുന്നത് എപ്പോഴാണ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്ലോ ആവുന്നത് എപ്പോഴാണെന്നൊക്കെ അതിൽ ആ സെക്കൻഡ് ലോയിൽ ഡിസ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് അല്ലെ. പ്ലാനറ്റ് മൂവ് ഫാർദർ വെൻ ക്ലോസർ ടു ദ സൺ ആൻഡ് സ്ലോവർ വെൻ ഫാർദർ എവേ നമ്മൾ അതിൽ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. സോ ഓർബിറ്റൽ സ്പീഡ് ഡിപ്പെൻഡ്സ് ഓൺ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് ഫ്രം സൺ. ഓപ്ഷൻ ബി ഈസ് ദ റൈറ്റ് ആൻസർ. Next, which law allows us to calculate the mass of the sun using planetary motion? Kepler's first law, Kepler's second law, Kepler's third law with Newton's modification and Newton's third law. So, അതായത് mass of the sun calculate ചെയ്യുന്നത് നമ്മൾ Kepler's third law with Newton's modification വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ അത് calculate ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Option C is the right answer. Next, the time a planet takes to go from perihelion to aphelion is half the orbital period, equal to the full orbital period, less than half the orbital period, twice the orbital period. So the orbit from perihelion to aphelion covers half of the elliptical orbit. Half of the elliptical orbit, it takes half the orbital period. Option A is the right answer. Option A is the right answer. Next, which of the following is a consequence of Kepler's law? Planets have uniform orbital period. Planetary orbits are always circular. Planets further from the sun have longer periods. Gravitational force is zero at aphelion. നമുക്ക് ഇതില് Kepler's lawയുടെ ഒരു കോൺസിക്വൻസ് ആയിട്ട് പറയുന്നത് ഓപ്ഷൻ സി ആണ്. Planets further from the sun have longer periods എന്നുള്ളത് തന്നെയാണ്. So option C is the right answer. Next one, if a comet's orbit is highly elongated, which law best explains its varying speed? Kepler's first law, second law, third law, and Newton's first law. So comet moves very fast near the sun and very slow when far away. അപ്പോൾ അത് നമുക്ക് മെയിൻ ആയിട്ട് Kepler's സെക്കൻഡ് ലോയിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ആ ഒരു മൂവ്മെന്റ് നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നത്, അതിന്റെ സ്പീഡൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നത്. സോ ഓപ്ഷൻ ബി ഈസ് ദ റൈറ്റ് ആൻസർ. Which of the following satellite orbits closest to the Earth? Geo, Meo, Leo, and Hio. It is option C, Leo. Low Earth orbit is the right answer. Option C. Next one, which type of satellite has an orbital period of about 24 hours? Leo, Meo, Geo, and Polar. നമുക്കറിയാം Geo satellite has an orbital period of about 24 hours. Option C is the right answer. Next, which orbit is more suitable for Earth observation satellite? Earth observation satellite in ഏത് orbit ആണ് most suitable? Geo, Meo, Leo, and Hio. This Leo satellites are close to Earth. So option C is the right answer. Next, GPS satellite operate in which type of orbit? Leo, Meo, Geo, and Sun synchronous. GPS satellite orbit at 20,000 to 200 kilometer altitude, which is Meo. Option B is the right answer. Next, which of the following is an advantage of Geo satellite? High resolution imaging, constant visibility over a fixed location, short communication delay, low launch cost. So the advantage of geostationary satellite, it is constant visibility over a fixed location. Option B is the right answer. Next, a satellite at 36,000 kilometer altitude remains above the same point on the equator. What type of orbit in this? Leo, Meo, Geo, and Polar. It is Geo. Option C. Next, which orbit is more suitable for navigation system like GPS, Galileo, or GLONASS? Which orbit is most suitable for navigation system like GPS? Leo, MEO, GEO, and HUO are the option. It is MEO. Navigation satellite ഒക്കെ നമുക്ക് കൂടുതൽ കവറേജും ഒക്കെ വരുന്നത് നമുക്ക് MEO ആണ്. Option B is the right answer. Next, the orbital speed of LEO satellite is approximately 3 km per second, 7.8 km per second, 11 km per second, 0.5 km per second. Option B is the right answer. 7.8 km per second. Which of the following statement is correct? GEO satellite require the least fuel for launch. LEO satellites are ideal for global telecommunication. MEO satellites strike a balance between coverage and communication. All satellite types are equally suitable for Earth observation. ഏത് ആണ് കറക്റ്റ് എന്നാണ് ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. GEO satellite require the least fuel for launch എന്നുള്ളതല്ല. LEO satellites are ideal for global telecommunication. No. And option C, MEO satellites strike a balance between coverage and communication. It is the right option. Option C is the right option. Next one, the apogee of a satellite. Apogee is the point closest to the Earth in its orbit, the point farthest from the Earth in its orbit, the point where satellite speed is maximum, the point where satellite speed is minimum. Apogee, it is a point in an elliptical orbit where the satellite is farthest from the Earth. Option B is the right answer. Next one, the perigee of a satellite is the point closest to the Earth in its orbit, the point farthest from the Earth in its orbit, the point where satellite speed is minimum, the point where orbit period is minimum. So perigee of a satellite is the point closest to the Earth in its orbit. Option A is the right answer. Next one, in an elliptical orbit, which of the following is true? Speed is maximum at apogee and minimum at perigee. Speed is minimum at apogee and maximum at perigee. Speed is constant throughout the orbit. Distance from Earth does not affect speed. നമുക്കറിയാം സ്പീഡ് ഈസ് മിനിമം അറ്റ് അപ്പോജി ആൻഡ് മാക്സിമം അറ്റ് പെരിജി. ഓൾറെഡി നമ്മൾ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്തതാണ്. ഓപ്ഷൻ ബി ഈസ് ദ റൈറ്റ് ആൻസർ. Next, which of the following statement is correct regarding apogee and perigee? Apogee occurs at the equator and perigee at the poles. Apogee is farthest from Earth and perigee is closest. Both points are at equal distance from Earth. Apogee is only for LEO satellites. So apogee is farthest from the Earth and perigee is closest. Option B. Next, if a satellite apogee is above Earth's surface by 36,000 km and perigee is 500 km, what type of orbit in this? Circular orbit, low Earth orbit, geostationary orbit, and high elliptical orbit. A large difference ഉണ്ടെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ it will be highly elliptical orbit here. Okay. Option D. Next, at which point does a satellite have maximum kinetic energy? Apogee, perigee, both points equally, midpoint between apogee and perigee. So it is, since speed is maximum at perigee, kinetic energy is also maximum there. So option B is the right answer. Next, the term apogee is specifically used for satellite orbiting Earth, Sun, Moon, any planet. എർത്തിനെ ബേസ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഫ്രം എർത്ത് അപ്പോജി ഫാർത്തസ്റ്റ് പെരിജി ക്ലോസസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ പറയാം. മൂന്നും സണ്ണും വേറെ നെയിം ആണ് നമ്മൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. സോ ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് ഫോർ എർത്ത്. ഓപ്ഷൻ എ. Next, which of the following is true about orbital velocity at apogee? It is greater than at perigee, it is less than at perigee, it is equal to the velocity at perigee, it depends on orbital inclination. So true about orbital velocity at apogee, it is less than at apogee. Orbital velocity is less than at apogee is less than at perigee. So option B is the right answer. Next, if a satellite orbit is circular, what can be said about apogee and perigee? They are equal to each other. Apogee is twice the perigee, perigee is 0, apogee is undefined. So if a satellite orbit is circular, the distance from Earth constant. Apogee, perigee equal at a very low. So they are equal at each other. Option A is the right answer. Next, which of the following satellite can transmit signal back to Earth? Passive satellite, active satellite, both active and passive satellite, none of the above. It is active satellite. Option B is the right answer. Next one, which of the following is an example of passive satellite? INSAT, Sputnik 1, ECHO satellite, and GPS satellite. Example of passive satellite, it is ECHO satellite. Option C is the right answer. Next, what is the main difference between active and passive satellites? Only passive satellite orbit the Earth. Active satellite generate or amplify signals. Passive satellite only reflect them. Option C, active satellite do not require power. Option D, passive satellites are used for navigation. So main difference between active and passive satellite. Active satellites generate or amplify signals and passive satellites only reflect them. Option B is the right answer. Next one, an active satellite is one that options only reflect signals transmitted from Earth. Option B has no onboard power source. Option C receives, amplifies and retransmits signals, and option D operates without ground control. So correct answer, an active satellite is one that receives, amplifies and retransmits signals. Option C is the right answer. Next, which type of satellite is generally heavier or more expensive? Passive satellite, active satellite, both are equal, depends on orbit. It is active satellite. Generally heavier and more expensive are active satellites. The primary application of a passive satellite is television broadcasting, signal reflection for communication experiments, real-time weather monitoring, GPS navigation. The signal reflection for communication experiments. Next, which of the following statement is true? Active satellite require no power source. Passive satellite can amplify signals. Active satellite can function independently of Earth stations, and passive satellites only reflect signal. The correct statement is option D, passive satellites only reflect signals. Option D is the right answer. Next, which of the following satellite is an active satellite used for communication? Echo, Telstar, Pegasus and Legos. It is option B, Telstar. Next, active satellites are used in which of the following application? GPS navigation, weather monitoring, television broadcasting, all of the above. Active satellites are used in GPS navigation, weather monitoring, television broadcasting. So all of the above. Option D is the right answer. Next, passive satellite can store data on board, reflect signals from Earth, generate their own signals, can transmit data in real time. So passive satellite reflects signals from Earth. So option B is the right answer. Next, which is a disadvantage of passive satellite? Cannot reflect signal, high cost, cannot actively communicate or sense the environment, orbit decays too quickly. So disadvantage of passive satellite, cannot actively communicate or sense the environment. Option C is the right answer. Next, what is meant by Earth eclipse of a satellite? When a satellite passes behind the moon. Option B, when the satellite passes through Earth's shadow. When the satellite blocks sunlight from reaching Earth. Option D, when Earth passes behind the satellite. So Earth eclipse of a satellite means when satellite passes through Earth's shadow. Option B is the right answer. Next, during an Earth eclipse, a satellite cannot communicate with Earth, experiences power loss if solar panels are the only energy source, speeds up in its orbit, moves out of orbit. So during an Earth eclipse, a satellite experiences power loss if solar power are the only energy source. Solar power മാത്രമാണ് energy source എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ power loss experience ചെയ്യും. So option B is the right answer. Next, which type of orbit experiences Earth eclipse? Every orbit, എല്ലാ ഓർബിറ്റിലും Earth eclipse experience ചെയ്യുന്ന Geo, Leo, Mu and Sun synchronous. It is Leo. Option B is the right answer. Next, Earth eclipse are most significant for satellite with onboard solar panel, satellite with nuclear power, passive satellite and all satellites equally. So Earth eclipse are most significant for satellite with onboard solar panel. Option A is the right answer. Next, Intelsat satellites are typically located at which longitude over the equator? Randomly, anywhere, fixed geostationary longitudes, low Earth orbit inclination and polar orbit. It is fixed geostationary longitudes. Option B is the right answer. Next, the duration of an Earth eclipse depends on altitude of the satellite, size of the satellite, satellite mass and speed of light. Duration of an Earth eclipse depends on the altitude of the satellite. Option A is the right answer. Earth eclipse can affect the satellite operation by changing orbital period, causing power interruptions, increasing gravitational pull and increasing speed. Earth eclipse can affect satellite operation by causing power interruptions. Option B is the right answer. Next, how do geosatellite cope with Earth eclipse? Increase orbital speed, use onboard batteries, shift orbit to LEO temporarily, use nuclear power. Earth eclipse വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് is use onboard batteries. Option B is the right answer. Next one, an earth eclipse occurs when options: the earth comes between the sun and moon, the moon comes between sun and earth, a satellite passes between the earth and sun, the sun comes between the earth and the moon. For confusion venda, earth eclipse occurs when the earth comes between the sun and the moon. Option A is the right answer. Next one, which phenomenon does not cause earth eclipse for satellite? Alignment of earth, sun and satellite, high inclination orbit, satellite distance being too far from earth's shadow, satellite passing through moon's shadow. Which phenomenon does not cause earth eclipse for satellite? ഏത് phenomenon ആണ് earth eclipse വരാത്തത്? അപ്പോൾ satellite passing through moon's shadow. Option D is the right answer. Next, satellite in sun synchronous orbit experience earth eclipse. Never. Once per orbit, only around equinoxes, and twice per year. Satellites in sun synchronous orbit experience earth eclipse only around equinox. Option C is the right answer. Next, a Cassegrain antenna is a type of dipole antenna, parabolic reflector antenna with the secondary reflector, Yagi-Uda antenna and helical antenna. Option B, parabolic reflector antenna with the secondary reflector is the right answer. In a Cassegrain antenna, the secondary reflector is usually parabolic, hyperbolic, elliptical, flat. Option B, hyperbolic. Next one, compared to a prime focus parabolic antenna, Cassegrain antenna has a feed in the front of the dish, has a feed behind the dish, cannot achieve high gain, requires no secondary reflector. So, compared to a prime focus parabolic antenna, a Cassegrain antenna has a feed behind the dish. Option B is the right answer. Next, which of the following is a disadvantage of Cassegrain antenna? Lower efficiency due to extra reflections, feed is exposed to weather, cannot operate at high frequency, very low gain. So, lower efficiency due to extra reflections. It is a disadvantage of Cassegrain antenna. Option A. Next, Cassegrain are commonly used in mobile phone, satellite communication and radio telescope, AM/FM radio receivers and Wi-Fi routers. Option B, satellite communication and radio telescope. Next, the primary reflector of a Cassegrain antenna is elliptical, hyperbolic, parabolic and flat. The primary reflector of a Cassegrain antenna is parabolic. Option C is the right answer. Next, the beam width of Cassegrain antenna compared to a prime focus antenna of the same size is much wider, slightly narrower, about the same, much narrower. The beam width of a Cassegrain antenna compared to a prime focus antenna of the same size, about the same തന്നെയായിരിക്കും. Next, the purpose of a secondary reflector in a Cassegrain antenna is to amplify the signal, to redirect the focused signal to the feed at the back, to block unwanted interference, to cool the antenna. It is to redirect the focused signal to the feed at the back. Option B. It's the main purpose of an antenna subsystem in a satellite is to generate electricity, to transmit and receive electromagnetic signal, to provide thermal control, then to store fuel. It is to transmit and receive electromagnetic signals. Option B. Next, which component is usually part of an antenna subsystem? Solar panel, feed horn, reaction wheels, thermal blankets. Feed horn. Option B is the right answer. Next, which type of antenna is commonly used in satellite communication? Yagi-Uda, helical, parabolic reflector, dipole. It is parabolic reflector. Option C. Next, the gain of an antenna in a satellite subsystem refers to its physical size, its ability to focus energy in a desired direction, its color, its launch course. It is its ability to focus energy in a desired direction. Option B. Next, which type of antenna is often used for omnidirectional coverage on satellite? Parabolic reflector, helical or patch antenna, Cassegrain offset reflector. It is helical or patch antenna. Option B. Next, the antenna subsystem is important for power generation, thermal management, telemetry, tracking and command, orbital maneuvering. It is for TTC, telemetry, tracking and command. Option C is the right answer. Next, in a satellite, high gain antennas are used for short range omnidirectional coverage, long distance high data rate communication, passive signal reflection, power supply. In satellite, high gain antennas are used for long distance high data rate communication. Option B. Next, a low gain antenna in satellite is mainly used for high data rate transmission, backup communication and omnidirectional coverage, power generation and thermal control. It is for backup communication and omnidirectional coverage. Direct to home television uses which type of satellite service? Navigation service, broadcasting service, mobile satellite service, earth observation service. It is for broadcasting service, option B. Next, which satellite service is primarily used for telecommunication in remote area? Fixed satellite service, mobile satellite service, earth exploration satellite service and broadcasting satellite service. So primarily used for telecommunication remote area, it is B, mobile satellite services, MSS. Option B is the right answer. Next, which satellite service is used for weather monitoring and environmental observation? Navigation satellite service, fixed satellite service, earth observation or earth exploration satellite service and mobile satellite service. It is option C, earth observation or earth exploration satellite service. It's a satellite radio like Sirius XM falls under which category? Broadcasting satellite service, fixed satellite service, mobile satellite service and navigation satellite service. It is option A, broadcasting satellite service. Next, KU band and C band satellites are typically used for weather monitoring, satellite TV and communication, GPS navigation, space exploration. It is mainly for satellite TV and communication. Option B. Next, which satellite service provides two-way voice and data communication? Fixed satellite service, broadcasting satellite service, mobile satellite service, and observation satellite service. So two-way voice and data communication, mobile satellite services, MSS. Option C is the right answer. Next, Intelsat satellite typically operate in which frequency? L band and S band, C band, KU band, X band and KA band, VHF and UHF. It is C band and KU band. Option B is the right answer. Next, how many satellites are required in the GPS constellation for global coverage? 6, 12, 24, 48. A minimum of 24 GPS satellites are required. So option C is the right answer. Next, Intelsat primary provides which type of service? Fixed satellite service, mobile satellite service, earth observation service and navigation service. So fixed satellite service, option A. Next, MSAT is especially used in urban fiber optic network, remote area chipset Z and aircraft television broadcasting only, earth observation. So MSAT is especially useful in remote area chipset C and aircraft, option B. Next, GPS satellites are located in which type of orbit? LEO, MEO, GEO and sun-synchronous. It is MEO, medium earth orbit, option B. Next, MSAT generally operate in which frequency band? L band, C band, KU band and KA band. It is L band, option A. Next, Intelsat satellites are mostly placed in LEO, MEO, GEO and polar orbit. Intelsat satellites are mostly placed in GEO, option C is the right answer. And the last question, the accuracy of GPS positioning depends primarily on signal frequency and number of visible satellite color, ground station height, weather condition. The accuracy of GPS positioning depends primarily on signal frequency and number of visible satellites. So, we have 100 questions discuss. So, these questions are useful. Thank you.